to introduce our speaker for today's webinar, Willis Winters. Willis is the president of the Board of Directors of Preservation Texas. He has led a distinguished career as an architect and formerly served as the director of the City of Dallas Park and Recreation Department. He now lives in Mineral Wells, where he's established a consulting practice focused on historic preservation, architecture, and park planning. He also has a passion for historic preservation, buildings, and sites, and he devotes a lot of his time to research and writing. He's the founder of the Dilbeck Architecture Conservancy and is currently working on a book about the architect and his work. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to you, Willis.
All right. Thank you, Sam. And good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our monthly webinar for Preservation Texas. And I'm really happy to present the one for April on the architecture of Charles Stevens Dilbeck. And I'm just trying to figure out how to advance the slide here. I apologize. There we go. So I'm going to first give you a little background about Dilbeck. He was born in Fort Smith, Arkansas in 1907, moved with his family. His father owned a planing mill there, was involved in construction as a general contractor for small projects. His father moved the family to Tulsa, Oklahoma, when Dilbeck was about 8 years old, about 1915. His father continued in the construction business there, designing and building small churches, apartment buildings primarily. Dilbeck, at a very young age, began to show talent for design and construction. He assisted his father with drawings and tracings at a very early age. Worked on his father's construction sites, and so he had at a young age a fairly profound understanding of construction techniques and craftsmanship. He had the opportunity to work with master craftsmen on many of these projects, including some houses. And then when he was about 15 years old, he started to work for a couple of lumber yards in Tulsa. Longwood was the first one, and Hannah Lumber Yard was the second one. So over a 3-year period, he worked for 2 lumber yards in their plan book division. So back in those days, if you were wanting to build a house, you would go to a lumber yard and look at their plan books, select a plan, and then the lumber yard would sell you all of the lumber for that particular plan, deliver it to the site. And in the case of Hannah Lumber Company, he had a construction company in addition to the lumber company that would build the house. Dilbeck was responsible for customizing the plans so if a customer wanted a larger kitchen or bedroom or wanted the front facade revised to reflect something different than what was shown, Dilbeck was responsible for doing that. He worked under an architect in both of those companies. And so from about 15 years old till he was 18 years old, that was his job, designing houses for the lumber company and their clients, and also making the changes to the plans. These are a series of houses that Dilbeck designed in Tulsa. The first one this one from 1927. So Dilbeck was 20 years old. This house was built by Hannah Construction Company under a circus tent. And you can see that it's a kind of English Tudor house with some half timbering, dark brick, leaded glass windows on the front facing gable and the little square windows above. were all this very early age became Dilbeck features of Dilbeck houses. This house was constructed under a tent, and the on the opening day, the tent was dramatically lifted from the house. They had an open house. Half of Tulsa toured the house, and the house sold within 2 hours. Then Dilbeck started his own firm and practice in Tulsa after that, and began to design some fairly nice houses, primarily in the French Norman style. We just saw an English Tudor. He also designed a few houses in the Irish revival, but this is a French Norman house with a round tower as an entrance hall, a chimney to the right of the tower with what is called with the brick that is exposed there for heavy texture, and then half timbering on the remainder of the house with timber and a plaster surfacing. Another house with an octagonal tower, and now at the L of the house that was also this was a stair tower, not an entry hall, but a stair tower. Also with the combination of brick and stone and half timbering on the second floor. A house constructed in 1929 in Tulsa, whitewashed. Dilbeck liked to apply a lime wash to most of his houses, starting in Tulsa. You can see a variety of roof forms here: cupolas, chimneys, some half timbering, leaded glass, and then these heavy timber tops of the windows, and then smaller windows set within the wood siding in the upper gables. And a house for Orlando Halliburton, constructed in 1931, a combination of brick and half timbering, tile roof, and leaded glass windows. So this is just a very small sampling of some of Dilbeck's work in Tulsa. I estimate that he designed and built probably close to 200, between 200 and 250 houses in the city. A lot of them were small, speculative cottages for a series of builders and real estate developers that were at work expanding building new neighborhoods to meet the sort of insatiable demand for housing in Tulsa, which was at that time had developed into the mid-continent, the capital of the mid-continent oil industry in the United States. So a lot of these clients, especially on the larger houses, were oil operators. The Depression had a severe impact on everyone's business across the country, of course, especially in Tulsa, with the oil industry hit very hard. All new construction came to a halt. Dilbeck, after Black Friday 1929 and through the early 1930s, had basically no new commissions. He was basically finishing houses that had started construction. And in 1932, he closed his office down, put all of his furniture and plans in storage, and decided he needed to move to another city to sort of revive his career and to look for new opportunities. So he selected Dallas as his new home. He had visited Dallas in 1928, where he attended the State Fair of Texas, met some friends, and that connection is probably what brought him here. In 1932, he went into a partnership. Somebody introduced him to another young Dallas architect named George Marble, who was also doing houses very similar to the kind of work Dilbeck did in Tulsa. Marble did a lot of work for a development company and two builders named Dines and Kraft, who were responsible for the subdivisions and additions that comprised the Lakewood development in East Dallas. Country Club Estates, Monticello, were a couple of those additions. They and he was Marble was doing residences and speculative houses for Dines and Kraft in the Lakewood area. Prior to that, he worked in several other areas of town, including Oak Lawn. But the two gentlemen met and established a partnership. They opened an office that only lasted 6 years, and then they split up again. There's only several houses that I've been able to document as Marble under the name Marble and Dilbeck. One was a duplex on University Boulevard in University Park. The other was a large house on Lakewood Boulevard in Lakewood. After they split up, Dilbeck rented space in Highland Park Village. This is the image you see here. This was his first office in 1933 and 1934 on the second floor, still in existence. And he shared this office space with a builder named Harvey McQueen, who did many residences in University Park and large residences in Highland Park. He also owned several of the houses that he built. So they shared an office here during the 1930s at this location at Highland Park Village. Dilbeck was fortunate to work for a prominent builder and developer in University Park called the Messerol Brothers, probably introduced through Harvey McQueen. And he began immediately in the early 1930s, after he left the partnership with George Marble, to design some fairly important French Norman houses throughout University Park, including 4 houses that are today called the Four Sisters at the intersection of Shenandoah Street and Douglas Avenue. This is the first of those 4 houses of the Four Sisters, completed in 1934, French Norman style with a major front-facing gable and an oriel window at the stair hall, a sloping roof that extends down over the front rooms there, a dormer window that's sort of inset in that sloping roof. The entire house is designed and built with limestone, and the beginnings of a distinctive chimney that you can see on the upper left of this image. Diagonal across the corner, also one of the Four Sisters, probably the most prominent of the 4 houses, is this residence built by Messerol Brothers in 1934. Dormer windows along the expanse of the house. The house actually faced the side street, which was Douglas Avenue. So the front door did not face Shenandoah Street. You can see a triangular window projecting on the front-facing gable. The windows and under the prominent round towers, which is the stair hall, is trimmed with orange brick, contrasting with the limestone and walls. The brick, probably Palmer or Ferris brick. And then on the side of the tower, you can see a dormer window and door supported by what are called limb pole brackets under a balcony. And that's what Dilbeck referred to as a Juliet balcony. So a very prominent house. This house was copied for several clients, one in Sherman, one in Fort Worth that we'll see in a moment, and another in Waxahachie, a one-story version of this house in Waxahachie. Also, another house, we're going to see all 4 houses in a moment of the Four Sisters. This is one that is also very important with its highly textured and variegated brick front-facing gable, the 2-story gable, is in brick. The remainder of the house on the ground floor is limestone, and in the upper portion of the second floor, is uh, half timbering and with stucco and timber. Low courtyard wall encloses the courtyard. That would become a typical Dilbeck design feature on his larger houses. You can also see the brick arches on across the ground floor in that setback section that has the front door and a window. I want to point out here the brick facing on the major two-story gable wall has variegated brick that is kind of the bricks point out and in our and touch in throughout that entire elevation. And this photograph was taken on within 1 week of the summer solstice. That was and produced these diagonal shadow lines, which I find very interesting to know that to speculate whether Dilbeck could anticipate that as a result of his using this brick pattern on a north-facing wall. Dilbeck had one book that we know of in his architectural library. He did not attend college. He may have taken a class or two at Oklahoma A&M University, which is now Oklahoma State, but they have no records really of his enrollment or registration. But so he was basically a self-educated architect, like many were throughout this period. He had this book, which was published in 1927. As far as I can tell, he had it after he moved to Dallas. And so there are, which is called La Normandie, a folio of loose architectural plates and drawings of French Norman architecture. And you can see this on the image on the left is a plate from La Normandie with where Dilbeck actually circled a portion of the photograph of a timber gable and used that basically in the design of a house for Phyllis Wiggins on Northwest Highway. You can see the similarity between his source in La Normandie on the left and the actual finished entry gable on the right. This is a house on Stanhope, also built by Messerol Brothers, with an octagonal stair tower with leaded glass lights there, a limestone, a cut stone a pointed arch over that window, a roof that sort of slopes down and flares a little bit over the front door, and a beautiful limestone walls throughout with orange brick trim under the pinnacle roof of the stair hall and around some of the windows and doors. The house on Stanhope from 1935, two-story, also a rough stone wall with brick trim to make it look like the use of cut stone. And here's a one-story version of that house on Bryn Mawr that was completed in 1937. Dilbeck began working we'll see in a moment, a ranch house that was completed in 1934 and 1935. But Dilbeck, another builder that Dilbeck worked for his name was Sam Labello Sr. He did 15 houses in the Cochran Heights neighborhood in Dallas in 1935, 36, and 37, all of them on Milam Street. And these were all cottages that were either French Norman style or two were ranch style, one was Monterey style. So this was Dilbeck's first ranch cottage on Milam. Would have had a garage under the upstairs, the balcony, the master bedroom balcony, which has been always the first piece of the house that was enclosed by a later owner. A covered porch with a signature round column, brick column, the perforations in the brick wall next to the window, and also in the low courtyard wall and the front porch wall. And then a large front-facing window in the gable to the left with a shed roof covering. You can see Dilbeck pulled some of the brick out to introduce texture and some variegation on the wall. So this was Dilbeck's earliest ranch cottage, and in a moment we will see his first full-sized ranch house. Another French Norman cottage in University Park. Again, on the left, the front-facing garage, attached garage, was enclosed by a later owner. The door actually was moved from the flat wall to the round wall to make it a full entry hall. And in the little balcony, very similar to the house that we just saw on Milam Street, this is what Dilbeck referred to as a smoking balcony, so that you would step outside the master bedroom to have your smoke. On both these houses, we see that same feature. In 1934, Dilbeck completed this house for a client named Rupert E. Griffith on McFarland Boulevard in University Park. This was Dilbeck's first ranch house. A solid two-story mass with a fairly plain wall and this beautiful arched opening over the front door, and then a passage through or porte cochere that takes you back to the rear side of the house. The garage was on the right hand side of the porte cochere with a rear opening. Dilbeck was one of the first architects in Dallas to design attached garages on his houses, both on cottages, as we've just seen on Milam and Stanford, and then on this large ranch house. The two windows with the perforated masonry grills on the second floor, just under the roof eave, are what are called what I call potty windows. Basically, there are restrooms serving serving two bedrooms up there with windows, hinged windows that opened into the room. These masonry grills provided privacy for those toilet windows. Here's what the house looks like today. An addition was done on the left, but here you can clearly see the passageway, the vehicular passageway with this distinctive gate taking you to a rear courtyard. And another ranch or French Norman house. There's characteristics of each. And I should say at this point that Dilbeck's French Norman work was probably the source of his ranch work. There was an evolution and a transformation from the French Norman work towards the ranch work over a period of 3 or 4 years. This one occurred during that period. It still has some French characteristics, but also some ranch characteristics that we've seen from the previous house, which you can see the arched opening there was a prominent feature on this house. Is also a prominent front door on this house as well. Some variation in the brick walls, a rafter, a ridge beam protruding in the upper left on this one. Horizontal window panes are all characteristics of Dilbeck's ranch work. This is the rear courtyard, vehicular courtyard of the first house on McFarland, with a very distinctive chimney scape. There's an exterior terrace on top of a large family room that was added at a later date. The terrace had an exterior fireplace, and we can see the side view of that. Beautiful composition and massing with the two roofs at different angles sloping down there, and the beautiful texture on this lime washed wall. Griffith was the client on that previous house. R.E. Griffith owned the largest chain of movie theaters in Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, and New Mexico. And he commissioned Dilbeck in 1937, along with another prominent Dallas architect, Jack Corrigan, to design the addition to the El Rancho Hotel in Gallup, New Mexico. It's been said that R.E. Griffith was the brother of the great Hollywood film director D.W. Griffith. I've not been able to find any documentation on that, but perhaps this project suggests a connection because it was used as a hotel by the Hollywood movie industry, who were shooting westerns in eastern Arizona and western New Mexico. Gallup was right on the border, so the producer, the film crew, and all the movie stars stayed at the El Rancho. There's some views of the El Rancho showing influences of both French Norman and ranch architecture. You can see perhaps the French Norman influence on the half timbered balconies on the third floor. Rear view with this room that cantilevers out, supported by the limb pole brackets, diagonal limb pole brackets. A beautiful lobby, Western ranch style lobby, focused around central fireplace hearth and balconies around the second floor gallery. Beautifully lit at night with neon lighting. Dilbeck's next major ranch house in Dallas was the fourth of the Four Sisters, located at Shenandoah and Douglas Avenue. Another limestone clad house with some heavy shake siding on the second floor on the left side. This cantilevered Monterey style balcony, supported again by limb poles that we just saw from the El Rancho. Limb poles were basically red cedar tree trunks that had been stripped of their bark and used as diagonal support brackets in the fashion you see here. You can see that the limb poles are different lengths from one one corner of the Monterey balcony to the other. Also, as on the ranch architecture, the roof rafters are extended and exposed to the front side of the house. Also, a low courtyard wall and a prominent chimney are all characteristics of the ranch style. Here's what the house looks like today, with the orange accenting trim around the window and door openings to contrast with the limestone. These and you can see the Monterey balcony has a very distinctive rail pattern there. This is the fireplace, oversized fireplace hearth inside the house with carved wood mantle and supports. This would eventually evolve to something different in his later ranch houses, and we'll hopefully see a photograph of those in a little while. Another ranch house on Stanhope by the Messerol brothers from 1937. This has a standard, Dilbeck is developing a standard formula here of a two-story rectangular mass from which projects a one-story or 1.5-story room with prominent windows and a gable roof. You can see beautiful limestone block walls, stucco siding on the second floor, with this wonderful window box that you can see in the middle there, with its own set of minor limb pole support brackets. And then the other important element here is a circular or round chimney flue, which is a major signature element on Dilbeck's houses. This is a ranch duplex at the corner of University Boulevard and Preston Road, renovated and pseudo restored about 4 years ago. Used to be totally overgrown on the Preston roadside. These photographs the black and white historic photographs that I'm showing you are all taken from the University Park Brown books, which is utilized by the building inspection department to record the building permits, and then the inspectors would photograph the house or duplex soon after its completion. So this is an amazing resource for the original condition of these houses. Very complex the way that Dilbeck kind of interwove two living units, one on top of the other, sleeping porches, balconies, courtyards, very complex and fascinating to see how Dilbeck achieved these. He did many duplexes in University Park and Highland Park, including several on Normandy. Shows the inner courtyard, walking back to a covered circulation area with the stairs up to the second floor duplex unit. I mentioned that the house on Shenandoah and Douglas, one of the Four Sisters, had a notable round stair tower that it was repeated in several locations. This was one of them. The blueprints were basically reversed, but it's almost the identical house as the one in University Park. And this shows a clearer version of the Juliet balcony on the side of the round stair tower with the three limb pole supports. Major French Norman designed by Dilbeck and built in 1937 on Deloche Avenue in Preston Hollow. Beautiful facade here with a very interesting half timbering pattern with the timber and lime washed brick or stone. I'm sorry, this is stone, and then a brick facade behind it. But beautiful window patterns, dormers. This major facing window on the second floor. You can notice here horizontal window proportions and mullions, and then on the ground level in the front in this gable are the slightly pointed arched openings. That would have been originally an open air porch, which Dilbeck named living porches. He also had dining porches, covered dining porches in many of his houses, always enclosed by later owners, as you see here. House for a very interesting gentleman named Nick DeGeorge, built on Bryn Mawr. Nick was a restaurant owner in Dallas that was in partnership with the Ventura family until he divorced his wife, Lucille, who was Sammy Ventura's sister. But I wanted you to see, this is a side view of this house with this cantilevered, again, Monterey balcony that wraps the corner, and it comes across to an exterior staircase. You can see that one of Dilbeck's signature round brick columns that supports the end of the staircase, and a very prominent diagonal support bracket coming out from the corner of the house. And in this interesting diamond-shaped lattice, metal lattice pattern that encloses the Monterey balcony on the side elevation here. This was Dilbeck's own house on Bryn Mawr, in the corner of Bryn Mawr. So this is also Sammy Labello, again, was the developer and owner. So after Dilbeck designed 15 houses for Labello on Milam and Cochrane Heights, Labello purchased property on Bryn Mawr Street, east of Preston Road in Dallas, and then hired Dilbeck to design between 25 and 30 houses on Bryn Mawr. This was Dilbeck's own house at the corner of Bryn Mawr and Preston Road, and his studio. Horizontal attached garage. You can see there's a belfry on top of the garage, a little bell tower, and in these interesting series of chimneys and roof vents on the remainder of the house. You can see the diagonal or diamond shaped pattern of the lattice and many of the other features that we've seen on other houses that we've seen to date were all incorporated into the design of this house. He lived here for about 4 years. By this time, Dilbeck's fame and reputation was growing beyond Dallas and Fort Worth. He's obviously done several houses in Fort Worth, but he was also now receiving commissions for prominent houses throughout Texas and other places. This was a house designed for H.C. Buchanan on a large site overlooking Lake Waco, and it was completed, I think, in 1938. This, you can see the two-story massing, the central block that we saw on that house on Stanhope, with one-story wings coming out at angles from the central section of the house. So this is a new feature now. He's using angled wings from the main mass of the house. Here is what the house looks like today. Split level, so there's an upper wing on the right. It's actually a lounge porch, an open air lounge porch, which was enclosed by later owners, and then a garage wing on, again, a step down, several steps down on the left. So here's what the house looks like with this amazing Monterey balcony with one limb pole support on the far right, just to the right of the front entry door, a horizontal railing instead of a diamond-shaped railing. You can see many of the features that we've seen on previous Dilbeck ranch houses. There's an elevation, original pencil on vellum elevation drawn by Dilbeck or his draftsman, showing the design of the house with the open air lounge porch on the right and a garage on the left with quarters always on the other side of the garage from the main house. You can also see the extended roof ridge beams on both levels and distinctive chimney scape. House on Park Lane for W.G. Underwood that is very similar to houses that we've seen, the ranch houses that we've seen, including this one with the cantilevered Monterey balcony. And here's another one on the Underwood house. Underwood was, and his partner, Claude Izell, were the owners of the patent for the drive-in movie theater in Texas. So every drive-in movie theater was built or owned by Underwood, Izell and Underwood, the name of their company, and they built houses back to back in Preston Hollow. This is Underwood's ranch house with the Monterey balcony with a closet on the corner, enclosed by later owners. A prominent front entry through an arched opening, kind of with a sort of Georgian or colonial revival door surround. Projecting bay windows are all features of Dilbeck's ranch work. You can also see the exposed roof rafters on the second floor roof. The house also had a gateway or portal at the front street, which Dilbeck liked to do on his larger estate houses. Another prominent ranch house in Wichita Falls for Dr. W.B. Adams, completed in 1940. You can see the Monterey balcony supported by the diagonal limb pole brackets, the potty windows on the second floor, like we saw on his first ranch house on McFarland Boulevard, and in this low courtyard wall terminated by a pair of round brick columns that extends out into the front yard and landscape of this very important house. The Waco newspaper wrote a review of this house in 1940 when it first was finished and called this style Norwegian ranch. Here's the elevation of the Adams house. And looking off to the left, you can see wings at an angle that include a vehicular passageway to the vehicular courtyard behind the house. The garage would have been on the other side of the passageway. And then another raised tower, which references agricultural buildings in the French Norman landscape, probably a mill building, perhaps, or a granary. This one with a Juliet balcony, and then the maid's quarters on the other side of that. Here's an exterior view today of the vehicular passageway, topped by an amazing dovecote cupola. I've not talked about dovecotes yet, but that was a major design element characteristic in Dilbeck's work on both his French Norman and his ranch houses. So here's a very prominent functional cupola. Many of them were false dovecotes, but this was a functioning dovecote. You can see the openings there sitting directly on the pyramidal roof above this vehicular passage. And that's taken from that form. The vehicular opening and passageway is taken from another plate from Dilbeck's folio La Normandie, as you can see here. A very important French Norman house built in 1941 in Fort Worth for Russell and Myrtle Griffith. Octagonal stair tower, as we've seen before, interesting dormers, and then a very prominent chimney flue, round chimney flue that we've also seen on his ranch style work. Beautiful brick half timbered wall. Sorry, I didn't take the label out of the middle of that photograph. Half timbering wall with, look at the brick patterns, how they go, how they're kind of curving on the left side to go with the curving timbers, and then randomly placed diagonal within the vertical timbers, and then a leaded glass, beautiful little leaded glass window there. Beginning in 1940, Dilbeck designed a neighborhood for another Dallas builder developer named L.O. Daniel Jr. So Dilbeck, throughout his career in both Tulsa and in Dallas, did subdivisions and additions for builders and developers, designing many cottages and speculative houses throughout the city. This was right before World War II, and he did probably 25 houses in this subdivision called the L.O. Daniel Jr. Edition, located in Oak Cliff, West Dallas, across the street from Sunset High School. This was one of several duplexes in the L.O. Daniel Jr. Edition, with a unit upstairs, accessed by this staircase on the right-hand side. There's actually a wagon wheel, several wagon wheels in the stone wall on the left side of the steps. And in this projecting one-story section that comes towards the street, with round stone columns supporting a shed roof over the front-facing window. and then a kind of a diamond shaped or almost um, Lutyens-esque balcony railing, Chippendale balcony railing for the second floor unit balcony. Another ranch cottage in the Daniel edition from 1941, showing again an L-shaped roof. You can see the walls under the roof are at varying heights, so it's not symmetrical. The wall on the right is lower than the wall on the left. The roof extends beyond the rock walls with these beautiful rafters with curved rafter tails, a projecting a roof ridge beam coming out towards the street, and then another shed roof over these windows. This was originally a front-facing, garage that was enclosed at some point. Dilbeck designed the enclosure and the room that was formerly a garage space. Dilbeck's most important ranch house was built in 1942 for Ted Dealey, who was the publisher of the Dallas Morning News. This was his weekend house in Roanoke, Texas, off of State Highway 114. You can see the incredible plan of this house going off with wings and rooms at different angles from the main body of the house, and the landscape, the chimney scape of I think there's 7 different chimneys on the roof of this house. The restrooms are basically aligned on the left hand side of the plan. The living room and dining room in the center, and then a garage and maid's quarters and storage on the right hand wing. This is the one of the entries to the house. It's not clear. This was probably the rear entry, although today it serves as the front entry. The house was, the site was sold by later owners to a corporation that wanted to build their campus headquarters on the site. The house was cut up into 7 pieces, stored off-site until they were redesigned for reconfiguration. New property was purchased in Westlake, where it was reassembled. This is on the left, under the shed roof, was Dealey's study with this kind of projecting bay window with round columns. Also, you can see the round columns supporting the living porch here in front, and this very distinctive chimney combination. One chimney for the interior living room, the other for the exterior fireplace serving the screened-in porch. Another view of the house that shows some of the other chimneys, including the master bedroom wing on the right, with what I call the rook chimney there, the round chimney with that distinctive profile. And a photograph of the recently renovated interior of the house, looking back towards a typical Dilbeck ranch fireplace hearth with multi-levels, doors for passing firewood through, and metal iron pieces for cooking and other functions. And then the doors on either side, there's glass doors with these very interesting mullion patterns varying from one side to the other. Another newspaper publisher, Dilbeck did several public houses for publishers, including Ted Dealey, the Morning News, Frank Runyon of the Dallas Times-Herald. He did the house for the editor of the Sherman Democrat, and this one for the publisher of the newspaper in Bartlesville, Oklahoma. His name was Newell G. Budge Welty. You can see Dilbeck's typical ranch features here with this curving shed style porch, distinctive chimneys, a bell tower in the middle there over a rear facing or side facing garage, and then another one of these sort of agricultural functioning towers that references either a mill building a or a granary in French Norman work. We've seen several of these, including the house in Wichita Falls. We're almost out of time, so I'm going to speed up now. This is Dilbeck did some really nice mid-century modern work, including this house in Bluffview in 1954. A great house on Deloche in Dallas. He did apartment buildings in the ranch style throughout Dallas. And he did, beginning in the early 1940s, a series of tourist courts, motor courts, or motor lodges throughout Dallas and other cities, including the El Rancho Hotel, the El Sombrero Motor Lodge both on Harry Hines. He also did the Premier Motor Court, Motor Lodge in Dallas, the Belmont Motor Hotel in 1947. And he designed the Western Hills Hotel, which is sort of a modern suburban version of the downtown luxury hotel out on Camp Bowie Boulevard in Fort Worth. A plan of that showing the three wings and a curving cabana in the center there. So here's a photograph of Dilbeck from the early 1950s. And as Sam mentioned, I'm working on a book on Dilbeck that will be published by Texas A&M University Press in the spring of 2027. I'm almost finished. My manuscript will be turned in probably in August or September. The photographer is Dilbeck's grandson, prominent photographer from New York who moved back to Dallas several years ago to undertake the photography for the book. So at this point, I'm going to turn it back over to Sam and see if we have any time for any questions.
Thank you, Willis. That was a wonderful presentation. We have a few minutes for Q&A, so if y'all have any questions, go ahead and drop those now. I do see a couple. Willis, I'll just read those to you. First question is, since East Texas was experiencing an economic boom in the 1930s with the discovery of the East Texas oil field, did Dilbeck design any homes or buildings in Tyler or other cities in East Texas?
That's a great question, and that's why Dilbeck was able to, after he moved to Dallas in 1932, the Dallas economy was not impacted like the Tulsa economy was because of the East Texas oil field and the monies flowing into Dallas bank coffers. So residential construction was still going on in Dallas due as a direct result of the East Texas influence of the East Texas oil field. To answer your question, there was a house designed in Tyler. It was not built. I've not been able to find it anywhere, and I don't know. It was probably early 1950s. There was a house built in Carthage, Texas, and probably sometime during the 1940s. And there was a ranch house, a later mid-century modern ranch house built outside of Omaha, Texas, that's still in existence. So two houses were built for sure in East Texas, and then one in Tyler was designed but not built.
Okay, next question. Did Dilbeck ever have a chance to visit France or Normandy to study the vernacular structures that inspired his work?
Another good question. No, he never traveled to Europe, which is somewhat surprising to look at the quality of his French Norman work and English tutor work. So he obviously his sources were magazines, American architecture magazines, Better Homes and Gardens, House and Home, um, for the French Norman housework. And I've really not been able to document much travel beyond Texas and Oklahoma before World War II. Now he did travel substantially. He did houses after World War II, and in the 1950s he traveled. He did houses in Natchez, Mississippi, Memphis, Tennessee, Athens, Tennessee, Evergreen, Colorado, and places like that. But it was all domestic travel. When he did finally travel to Europe after he retired with his wife, Pat, he would come across a house and remark, "Hey, I think I designed this," because it felt so familiar to him with the work he had done 40 years earlier.
Are there any maps, like a custom Google map showing the known Dilbeck houses or neighborhoods?
Um, Not yet, but there will be. And I'd like to encourage everybody, first of all, to become a member of Preservation Texas. And secondly, to become a member of the Charles Stevens Dilbeck Architecture Conservancy. The membership is free. You just have to register online. And we are developing an amazing website that was designed by Kristen Atwell in Dallas that will become this eventually we're listing the houses on the website by address, and eventually we're going to get to a map. I think that's an important aspect. It's an important thing to have, and we will eventually have that on the Dilbeck Conservancy website.
Sounds great. Okay. I'm not seeing any more questions at the moment. We are just about out of time. So with that, I thank you all so much for joining us today. And thank you again, Willis, for your presentation.
My pleasure.
Our next month's webinar will be the announcement of our 2025 Most Endangered Places list. And the date on that is TBD, so stay tuned for more details to come. And I hope you all enjoy the rest of your week, and we'll see you next time. Bye.